in true top 10 list?
No, so welcome to this week's top 10 list. We're doing a 10 things list about just our favorite game franchises from the past. Because
From console specifically.
yeah, mostly console specific for sure. So this is a 10 things list today with our console specific favorite games of the past. Now, Pocky would say, well, they get ported to PC, but we're not talking about PC today, Pocky.
Well, no, my statement is, yes, we know that some of these games later got ported to the PC, like there was a Commodore 60 version of Mega Man. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about not the arcade version. We're talking about these were the best games, some of the best games on consoles you could find.
So let's kick it off with number 10. We're going to start with Pocky on this one.
Mine is Gauntlet. I mean, the Nintendo had Gauntlet. It was 4-player.
Green Elf needs food badly.
Exactly. Got supported to the Sega Dreamcast, which was awesome. And then it got ported again recently to like a bunch of other systems. And really, it was one of the first best multiplayer games.
Everyone
worked together.
You got three friends together. You got the greatest game. Like, I loved every incarnation of Gauntlet. Like, it was so much fun. And it's classic. Green Elf needs food badly.
Red Warrior needs off in the fields of danger.
It's got the best flavor, epic text going on. Like, you got that announcer, and you just have so much fun with it.
Yeah, it's like the Mortal Kombat announcer they've got.
Finish him.
And it was like, and the thing is, like, you know, on the Sega Dreamcast, it was built with 4 players in mind. It had a modem at the time, which was a big deal. Mm-hmm. And you had so much fun with it because you had multiple saves, and there were unlockable characters like the Jester and a whole bunch of other Valkyrie. And really, I mean, you can't say much more than it's still around today, and it's still being
Gauntlet
made.
will always be around. Up next on our list is one of my favorites. Can you guess what it is?
Fear Factor?
I've talked about this game a lot. Fear Effect.
Oh, fact.
I love Fear Effect. There was something about a survival horror where you didn't have health, you had a fear bar. And the more afraid you were, the more likely you were going to die. And it was just one of those, because, you know, Resident Evil came out and did amazing things.
It did.
Silent Hill kind of reinvented the amazingness. And then Fear Effect came out and said, okay, well, what can we do? It had amazing graphics, great supernatural story. And the whole Fear Effect mass of it was just amazing.
And you also want to see, you know, you can feel its effects to this day. Like, Deep... What's the one that's mining? The miners are in space.
Minecraft?
No, it takes place on a mining ship in
Dig
space.
Dug?
No, it's
Dead Space.
Dead Space.
How
Thank
did
you.
I get that? Goldfish had so many Dead Space from the sidelines. I'm all Dig Dug.
No, Dead Space. Because you could tell Dead Space. It was inspired by that game.
Dead Space did have one of the most epic boss battles in 3 where he fought the moon.
Yes,
that was a great co-op experience.
Well, I mean, you know, Zelda did it better.
Shh.
Whatever.
So Fear Effect is on my list. What do we have next?
So
Pocky?
my next one is kind of cool. It's Mega Man.
Oh,
Blue Bomber.
I have a confession to say. I love Mega Man, but I can't play that game. Like, I can only get like a few screens in before I die and have to start all over again.
Which one?
I bought the collection on the Xbox. So
Yeah,
I just started from the beginning, and I'm like, I can't do this. I feel like an idiot.
You can't play old school hard games.
No, that's the dirty part. I can play like Halo and Destiny with 800 buttons. You give me something with one button.
Two buttons. Jump and shoot.
Yeah,
Jump
I can't
shoot.
do it. I can't play Ghosts and Goblins. I can't play Mega Man. I can still play Sonic pretty easy because it's
just running forward.
Running forward is just fine, but I cannot play retro games, but I love Mega Man.
I mean, Mega Man, you want to know a fun fact? The original Mega Man game is less than 1 megabyte big. Less than 1 megabyte.
Why did he look like he did on the box art?
That
was like Fat Plumber Mega Man going on the box art.
I'm glad it wasn't that look. But I think, you know, Mega Man, you can't say a lot. I mean, it stayed true to its format. I mean, it's made a lot of people happy, and it's, you know, it had one of the best spin-offs, Mega Man X.
Yeah.
And
I liked Mega Man Legends, where it turned into RPG. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, I liked a lot of them.
So, next up on our list, we have another one of my favorites, which is Ghosts and Goblins, speaking of retro games.
You know, I think this is one of the first games that ever invented the phrase a game block, where you had to beat the game a second time to actually beat the game.
I've never beat the game. I can't even get past. I can get to the one where you got to jump across the lava, but then I die.
You should watch speedrunners play this game. It's insane.
I don't know how they do it. Like, I want to dodge and, duck and roll.
Rate. Yeah, it's and this is, like I said, this is one of the first games that invented, like, the whole, oh, you beat the game. No, you didn't. Now you have to go back and beat it again because there was an artifact you didn't collect at the first level. Which you didn't know you needed to collect. You couldn't collect it at all.
But still, it spawned off great. It's been a great generational history game. Maximo was amazing. It was so much fun. This game was just amazing. I loved it. And it's, the supernatural. I can't play it. I have it as well as part of my Capcom arcade collection. And I put it in the other day. It's like, oh, I want to play this again. I got over 3 tombstones before something spawned up and hit me. And I couldn't even kill the spitting Audrey 2 on the cliff. I mean, I'm just like, I feel like I can't shoot up. So I love retro games, but I love you people who can play it even more because I can't.
I love playing retro games.
So what do we have next up, Pocky?
So my next one is Double Dragon. Speaking of old school beat 'em up,
I could blow these easy. To fight like the Ninja Turtle games, I could do all these, but Double Dragon was amazing too.
no, Double Dragon was great. You know what? One of the things that I loved about Double Dragon was the first time you saw that conveyor belt in the pit. That pit, like, he's gonna kill you, but you can kill people with the pit. You can punch them and throw them over and like kill them, and you're like, you know what? I don't have to lose any health. And the remake, the new version they made, Double Dragon's Neon. I have to say I love it. I beat it, and it was great.
So, up next on this list is one of my all-time favorites, Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Now, this was almost on your list, too.
This was almost on my list. I think this was also... Remember when we did a top 10 list of games that needed to be remade?
This
was on this list.
So, like, this is a perfect co-op game. They don't need to 3Dify it. They just need to update it and just make it amazing and expand it. I'm afraid that they wouldn't do that. I'm afraid they would kind of go a little crazy and, like, ruin it like they did with Duke Nukem Forever. Like, they do something dumb, but this game had everything. It had aliens, giant babies, monsters, zombies, 2 totally radical 80s kids with water guns. I mean,
you know who they should get to remake it if they did a remake of it.
Who?
They should get the guys Anthony and Ashley Birch. Anthony wrote Borderlands 2, and he did a really great job with it. And I can imagine him doing Zombies Ate My Neighbor. And doing a whole retro feel to it, it'd be great.
It was a great game. So,
yes.
What's next on this, Pocky?
Well, I mean, speaking of Nintendo stuff, Metroid.
Yes.
I mean, this game franchise invented a phrase called Metroid. Metroidisms, which is where you have to go through an entire map, and you have to go back and forth, collect objects. You have to go back into areas you couldn't previously entered. And then, of course, Castlevania took from that. Now we have Metroidvania.
Well, plus it was one of the first games that rocked people's minds when the helmet came off and Samus was a chick, not a dude.
Well, it also had one of the first times on the NES library, because this was like one of the first or second wave games, where it had multiple endings depending on how far and how much of the stuff you collected.
Yeah.
And all the different endings was, like Samus being in her armor, helmet off, and then full armor off.
I enjoy the newer versions, but not as much as the original one.
Except Metroid at the other end.
Yeah, no, that one doesn't exist. But what does exist is our next item on the list, which is Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, you want to talk about a genre-defying game right there. You don't even start. I see you, grumpy old man over here, but Sonic the Hedgehog...
No, grumpy old man is what the head waste is.
Not always done right. Let's put that little context. Sometimes Sega's like, let's make him into a werewolf.
Let's just say, except the fact that the last good one was the episodes.
No, the last good one was Sonic Generations.
And that was only the 2D side of it. What? The 2D was great.
Sonic Generations was awesome, but Sonic the Hedgehog was definitely something that was just lightning in a bottle. And it's one of those ones that I don't know how they mess it up so badly sometimes.
There's a whole reasoning for that. We can go into that later. We can do an entire show about how they.
We should do an entire show about Sonic the Hedgehog. But what do we have next, Pocky?
My next one is Final Fantasy. Now, I literally mean all of Final Fantasy, except for, obviously...
See, it was really hard when you just said Final Fantasy, because 7 is the only one that counts to me, but you're like, no, 6 and 3. And I'm like, who cares about 6 and 3? Just jump straight to 7.
6 was probably... Well, one, there's no story to them except for, I think, 2 of them. One, you have... Just like that, you had 4 and 5, which introduced the job systems, which were great. And then later, that would become Final Fantasy Tactics. You have 6, which has some of the best music and some of the best villains in the series. I mean, Kefka becomes a god.
It's all about 7.
7 is what happens when whiny emo kids aren't given razors.
Oh, please. But I agree with you. Final Fantasy is definitely one that will always be around, and they don't seem to have been able to really do it injustice, I don't think.
The problem with it is... I
think the first one, 11, that was online, kind of was a bit of an injustice.
I think my problem with it recently is they're focusing more on the whiny teenager. They're skipping...
That's just because that's the culture right now in Japan. Look at all the animes. They're whiny teenager boys. That's
not all of them. Look at One Punch Man. And there's a lot
Let's go to Crunchyroll and look and see how many of it is high school whiny teens.
Yeah. What about the puppet one?
Look, the puppet one is Thunderbolt Fantasies in a league of its own.
But also Final Fantasy spawns so much stuff. I love my Shin Megami. Without Final Fantasy, we wouldn't have that. Dragon Warrior came out roughly the same time, but Final Fantasy was Squaresoft's supposed to be the last game if it didn't succeed. That's why it's called the Final Fantasy.
All right, so the last one on our list is
It's all his,
you've
not
heard
mine.
us rave about this game a bajillion times, Timesplitters.
Yes.
You want to talk about the ultimate game to play with your friends. I don't understand why Halo beat this one out, because Timesplitters was faster to play, had whatever you could imagine was character. They had giant mobster whales with fish fingers and gingerbread men and ducks and monkeys and soldiers from Vietnam. Because the whole point was aliens were jumping through time, jacking with history, so you got all these characters from time playing, and it was amazing. We've had...
You know why Timesplitters didn't do as well as Halo? 3 episodes ago. That's why. The gaming hype.
Oh, gaming hype. Well, true, but this one was... I mean, it was one of the launch titles for PlayStation 2, and it was so fast. It had the greatest level building editor. You can make your own story levels, your own multiplayer levels. You could put bots in. Like, this game had everything and then fell off the planet because the studio behind it went out, because they got jacked by Lucasfilm. And now Crytek owns it. Crytek's letting a group of fans do Timesplitters Rewind, which had been on our show before, too. And it's been years. We're trying to get it back on for an update, but they made it amazing. But this game is like I couldn't decide between this and Bomberman, because those are the two perfect party games.
What about Worms?
Worms sucks compared to Bomberman in this game. So Timesplitters
No.
will always be number one on this list.
Nope. Sorry. Worms.
No. So
Worms.
honorable mention, of course, would be Bomberman. What would your honorable mention be?
My honorable mention is Duck Hunt.
Duck Hunt. Plus, just because we have to, Space Channel 5. I talk about that game all the time, too. But that has been our 10 things list for today. We hope you guys have enjoyed it. And if you have ideas about it, comment in when this is online. Comment. Let us know your thoughts and things you'd like to see.
What is your favorite game from the console era? So let us know, because we'd like to see what that is.
I'm waiting for someone to say, like, some old school game that ain't nobody heard of. Like Bubble Bop or whatever, where you're the little alligator shooting bubbles.
That there's like 20 of those games, right?
Anyways, so up next we have brand new Geek Week news, and then we'll be back with our special guest to talk about the console wars. Don't go anywhere.
Huge shift in a fight. Like there was like some coming over from one hill and some coming from the other hill, and there's going to be a battle in the middle with swords and tentacle monsters. It was going to be horrible.